What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Advice. We are back. I know it's been a little while since I've been out the house, but I played in this global challenge and I wanted to share what I did with you guys. So I don't want to take too long talking about the team, but it's a pretty sick team I built with Graham Amity. I think at the beginning of January, maybe just before that. But Scarf, Urshifu, and Calyrex was the main offensive idea for us. We just liked those two Pokemon next to each other on the field. But opposing Urshifu, Calyrex was kind of problematic early on. And I realized that Raikou's great because it outspeeds Urshifu along with almost all the meta beyond the fast guys like Fluttermane, Chien, Pal, and Miraidon. But the nice thing is that it sheds the dragon type that Raging Neck has. So Assault Vest with Snarl and Electro Web, and then Terra Water Scald, which with Rain Dance that I had initially with Tornadus could Oko Groudons unexpectedly. Raikou just, was always pulling its weight. I initially ran Thunderbolt over Volt Switch, but over time, especially when we got rid of Tornadus, I decided to make it more of a pivot, and it's been nice. So Indeedee just makes it look much more like a Trick Room team. Makes it a little more surprising, and just the extra redirection next to Amoonguss, when Amoonguss isn't good in a matchup, especially like against Sun teams we struggle against, was really nice. So these are all pre-recorded games I'm going to show you, but I'm going to show you everything. The first 10 games I played, I was sitting with my roommate. I wasn't planning on recording, but I'm telling you, no excuses, but the hacks was incredible. I was 5-4 with some insane stuff that I couldn't even believe. So when the 10th game, I lost because my game crashed. I was like, I'm going to stop here, but tomorrow I'm recording everything. So this is the first game I recorded right here. Immediately ran into a Sun team with both of the issues, Fluttermane and Raging Neck. Sun teams are already difficult for this team, but when those two are on it, it makes it even tougher. So I got to be more careful with Urshifu because I can't risk the close combat that I usually like to risk into Koraidon because they have the opportunity to switch in Fluttermane. And also they lead with Raging Neck, puts a lot of pressure on Urshifu immediately. Raging Neck is one of the reasons why I really liked the addition of Indeedee, just to prevent the Thunderclap and use my Scarf U-turn to get myself to safety. But here, the Indeedee switching for Incineroar is not as safe because I go for the close combat into Koraidon and they can switch in that Fluttermane, which I'm sure is here. So I am fully expecting the Koraidon to switch out, and I don't want to waste Urshifu. It's good in the late game, so I'm switching in Indeedee in that slot. And I'm considering going for the knockoff onto Raging Bolt just to put it into Glacial Lance range. But then I realize I'm switching in Indeedee and I'll have Helping Hand anyways. And my Calyrex Ice is extremely fast, 112 speed, it's Jolly Max speed. Along with being able to outspeed anything 169 speed or less, next to Raikou's Electro Web, I do outspeed most of the Raging Necks. And so Glacial Lance is really good. And now keep in mind, even though in the rental code that I showed, Indeedee is Focus Sash, this Indeedee is Safety Goggles, and the Incineroar is Covert Cloak. But post GC, I really like the team, I really like the spreads. I want the Sash on Indeedee and the Safety Goggles on Incineroar. So they do switch in the Fluttermane like we thought. It gets a speed boost, and they go for the Thunderclap, so we don't take any damage here. Great turn one for us. Clean parting shot. And now I have a setup that looks like I'm trying to set Trick Room. So often in this position, I found out playing on Showdown for the last month before the GC that Fluttermane consistently goes for Taunt. Whether it's like Indeedee or Amoonguss that's next to Calyrex. So it gives me a really free Glacial Lance. And I saw that it's booster speed, so I'm not worried about this Fluttermane doing a lot of damage. They tend to be really physically bulky and really fast, like minimal special attack investment. So Helping Hand Glacial Lance here is pretty safe. But yeah, so it's really nice that we scared out the Koraidon. And now I just love to take KOs fast enough that Koraidon has to come back in before the sun goes down so that he doesn't have the sun up. And now that they've used Terastallization on Fluttermane, the Koraidon is much less threatening to my Cali Eyes. So they go for this Dazzling Gleam here. And even Terastallized, it doesn't do very much. We outspeed the Raging Neck. And bye-bye. So we got a crit on the Flutter Mane, but it's Sash. Doesn't matter. And we get to see who they bring in next. You'll see throughout this run, but there are so many times where Leftovers is amazing. And like surviving on low red HP multiple times, I'm talking. And just being able to protect and have Leftovers so that we are threatening Protect basically every turn. You know, Pokemon with Leftovers, they're likely to alternate protecting and attacking, and so it kind of makes attacking into Calyrex a 50-50 more often. Especially next to Scarf Urshifu. So they bring in the Ivy Cudgelman, and I just need to break it sturdy so that I can beat it with close combat, because I'd love to be able to lock into late game close combat. Now, here I remember thinking about going for the Psychic into Ogerpon and protecting Calyrex, but I decided on the double protect because I don't want to lose Indeedee. I did want to scout for the Flutter Mane or the Ogerpon to go for protect, and they do go for the Flutter Mane protect. So the double protect here pays off, I believe, because I think they do attack into my Indeedee. Yeah, I remember thinking, okay, that was the right play then. So now they're in a really tough position because they can't switch. And Indeedee's not going to die to anything that Flutter Mane has. Even Moonblast won't KO. I'm considering, I think right there I'm considering, what if Moonblast KOs? But I'm looking at my Indeedee and I'm like, no, it's not going to KO. So we have Follow Me and Glacial Lance. That's very free. So it's funny, I found myself using all the things I've talked the most shit about. Spread moves and redirection. But realistically, this format, it's a lot of high-powered offense. And if you're not taking advantage of big spread damage, you're not going to win. Unless you got something crazy going on, like the Jan Fisher stuff. But yeah, so they take out our Indeedee with the double up. But we're going to finally remove their Flutter Mane and bring Ogerpon Rock down to its sturdy. Which means that they have to bring in their Koraidon, and the sun has not ended. So we have accomplished our mission. And I remember taking a lot of time to think about this next turn, even using the swap in Pokemon screen to think about it, because I'm worried about Flame Charge. You know I'm going to bring in Urshifu here and click U-turn, just to KO the Ogerpon through Protect and preserve my Urshifu for when the sun is gone. But I'm considering, is it worth attacking with Ice Rider and just going for the Glacial Lance, hoping that they attack into Urshifu? But I see that the sun is going out in one turn, and I don't think that they're going to Flame Charge Urshifu. I think if anything they Flame Charge the Cali Ice, and so that is why I decided to go for the Protect here, because I think that I can survive the Flame Charge if the sun is down and they've lost their boost, because they have a big attack boost just for being the sun up, beyond the 1.5 power up for fire type moves. Koraidon also gets like a 1.25 or 1.333, I think it's 333, boost to its physical attacks in the sun. So I do decide to go for that Protect, and no spoilers, Koraidon does go for the Collision Course and wipes out my Incineroar. But you know what? Even though it looks like Incineroar didn't do really anything, Incineroar scared out Koraidon turn 1, so thank you for that, VGC Goat. I get a little bit more leftovers recovery, so it's never a wasted turn to protect. That's not true. Sometimes it is a wasted turn to protect. I do find out throughout the GC. But yeah, Urshifu comes in now, and I can just click Close Combat and Glacial Lance. And as long as Flame Charge does not KO, I should not lose. Because of that, I actually probably was better off, now that I'm thinking about it, terastallizing Cali Ice into a normal type, just to make sure. But I didn't. Yeah, it's probably a misplay, actually. And then I go for the terastallization, just to punish them for not quitting. And also to get a little thumbnail, which I did. I got some sick pictures off of this. But yeah, so it was a good game 1 of day 2 to give me a little bit of encouragement after the less than ideal day 1. And it felt good to beat a Sun team that I was worried about getting matched up with. Yeah, good game to my opponent. Okay, so yeah, then the next game was against a Miraidon team, yeah. And it does have the Whimsicott Fergraph, like the World Championship Luca Cerebelli team. Luca Cerebelli. But this one has Palmot, Ursaluna Blood Moon, and Incineroar. Incineroar over the Fire Pawn. So I do like Raikou and Cali Ice against Miraidon teams as my lead. And then all 4 of the backup Pokemon can come, just depending on which game plan I like to go against the championship team. But I'm going to go Indeedee Urshifu and just kind of go really offensive and have a way to get rid of their terrain and also have 2 Mons that can pivot. Because I would love to disrupt their Miraidon, make sure it doesn't want to stay on the field, and get Indeedee in, get Indeedee out, you know, have that terrain. And see who can win the terrain war. And before that, before I expose that I have Indeedee, I would love to try to get off the cheeky double Electro Web Glacial Lance as they try to Volt Switch off of my Ice Rider. Yeah, I've been able to develop a lot of game plans against the standard Miraidon team because of how many times I faced it, and I've found that pretty much all, or any combination of 4, as long as I bring Cali Ice, can come, and Raikou is really good into the matchup. This one having Incineroar with Intimidate is a little bit more difficult than the standard one because Cali Ice isn't as free to just click Glacial Lance. But if they do decide to bring Incineroar, we have options like Urshifu or Swords Dance to mitigate the disruption. So they do lead the standard Fergraph Miraidon lead. No, 9 times out of 10, I've noticed that if I protect Cali Ice here, they're going to double it up with Foul Play and Volt Switch. And I can click Electro Web. And because they don't know what Raikou does, they think I'm just trying to get some spread damage maybe, or I don't know. Most people do not see the second Electro Web into Cali Ice outspeeding happening. You know, for whatever reason, they assume that even with 2 Electro Webs, they will still outspeed, but it's not the case. I am guaranteed to outspeed any Miraidon after 2 Electro Webs. And so as long as they both connect, I can usually pick up a cheeky Glacial Lance KO if they don't terastallize or switch out. And I haven't noticed it on cart. It doesn't seem this way on cart, but on Showdown it feels like 1 out of every 5 Electro Webs misses, and it's not uncommon to miss 2 Electro Webs in the same game. So that always makes the turn 1 and turn 2 a lot more exciting. And you do see that they outspeed my Raikou with their Miraidon and go for the Volt Switch into Cali Ice. And they go for a Terra Blast. So it's comforting not seeing them click Foul Play, but I'm not going to assume that they don't have it. It's just nice to not see it come out. I'm going to go for the Electro Web Glacial Lance. We'll see what happens. Okay, they do switch out their Miraidon, so Jose is a bit more cautious than the standard Miraidon player. and has brought Incineroar to not only take a Glacial Lance, but get off and Intimidate. And Electro Web does so little to Incineroar that I immediately assume that it's Assault Vest. And so that makes me a lot more comfortable staying in front of it with Calyrex. Because that Foul Play dropped my attack with Intimidate, so it did a lot less. But yeah, because I think that they are Assault Vest, I'm not worried about like Parting Shot or Will-O-Wisp. But I want to Volt Switch my Raikou out here and preserve it for when Miraidon comes back, just for nice speed control. And obviously the Assault Vest. I really don't want to reveal Indeedee, but I'm going to have to switch somebody in here, so I'm kind of just thinking about how the next couple plays are going to play out. I want to go for Protect here, just in case they go for the Fake Out Foul Play. And I decide that I'm willing to get Indeedee in because I've kind of come to the conclusion that I want to try to manufacture a Swords Dance, you know, using like Follow Me Redirection. So if I can get a Swords Dance off here, and then with the help of Follow Me, I can you know, start picking off their pieces. Like High Horsepower Incineroar, you know, Glacial Lance at that point should pick up with Farigiraf. So yeah, thinking, okay, is it worth bringing Urshifu in? Not necessarily. Let's just go Indeedee. So we do see the knockoff go into the Cali Ice, which is nice. I don't take a bunch of damage on Indeedee. And then unfortunately we see a Trick Room. And so they have figured out that my Cali Ice is fast. I'm not sure if they know that it's faster than Incineroar yet, but they do know it's fast. So now I'm like, okay, shoot, I have 4 turns of Trick Room to get through. That probably means they have Blood Moon in the back. And I don't really know what to do here because Indeedee's kind of just a sitting duck. I don't want to just waste a turn protecting. And I know that Indeedee is a target. So like, geez, anything I switch in here is probably going to take some damage. But I switch Raikou. And then I also switch Urshifu in because if they decided to go for the knockoff or foul play into the Cali Ice slot, then I'll resist both attacks for 1, and then also I'll have a little more freedom to navigate with Urshifu in the end game because I don't have the Choice Scarf anymore. Okay, and so they do go into the Urshifu, knock off my Choice Scarf, and that frees up Urshifu to use all of its moves. So in my head I'm thinking, okay, we still have 3 turns of Trick Room. What are they going to do to advance it? They could knock off into my Raikou. I should take it, so I'm willing to Scald into Incineroar if they do that. I'd love to protect Urshifu, but I don't really want to switch Indeedee or Cali Ice into any attacks, and Urshifu is one of the slower guys on the field, so I can just go for Snarl to cover for a Miraidon switch in, and go for a U-turn, see if I can slow play the Trick Room a little bit more. So they go for Terra Blast, which Cali Ice would have taken better, but Urshifu does survive, and they just U-turn off of Raikou, so whoever's coming in is going to have to take a Snarl, because I did switch Raikou's attack to Snarl. And it is Miraidon, so if we land, we're in a better position than they are expecting us to be. U-turn doesn't pick up Farigiraf, but Snarl will, if we connect. So I can bring in Cali Ice here and take advantage of the leftovers. I'm just wondering, do I want Cali Ice in right now? Because that can invite Incineroar in. But then I realize, you know what? Farigiraf is going down right now. Incineroar is probably coming in anyways. So let's just pull the Band-Aid off now. Get a little leftovers recovery, because you never know, it could make a difference. And we double connect Snarl. So Raikou doing what it needs to do, helping us get through the Trick Room. And now Farigiraf is gone, so we don't have to worry about foul play. And Miraidon, for the time being, is slower than Calyrex and Raikou. So we are actually in pretty good position. And they come out with Ursaluna. So Raikou has been doing a good job of staying on the field the whole game, being disruptive. I'm happy that it got the Snarl off on Miraidon here. I know that I'm likely to go down if they click Earth Power. And I do think that because the Trick Room's up, obviously, and Miraidon is slow and choice, that they're going to switch out into Incineroar here. I've seen all 4 Pokemon, so I know what they have option-wise. But they have not exhausted Terra yet, so I'm going to try to Volt Switch the Incineroar switch in and just go for a Swords Dance. I'm hoping that I'm able to survive a Terra Normal Blood Moon if they go for it, but I'm not sure because I feel like I've seen it KO from pretty close to this, and Ursaluna is insanely strong with Life Orb. So they do switch in Incineroar as we expected, and they go for the Terastallization, so I'm like, oh shoot, okay, here it comes. But as the animation progresses, I comfort myself and convince myself that they are only Terastallizing to Normal type so that they're not weak to Glacial Lance anymore. And sure enough, they go for the Earth Power, so we lose Raikou, but Raikou did a great job disrupting Miraidon enough where it didn't feel like it wanted to stay on the field and do any damage. I get off the Swords Dance, so they're in a very tricky position. Now, I bring in Indeedee, and I'm thinking now that it honestly would have been a little better to bring in Urshifu and just try to go for an Aqua Jet to do a little more damage to Incineroar. But they also have the option of faking out, so Indeedee's just nice. I don't have to deal with fake out, and that means that they know that they have to focus more on Calyrex. So I'm not so worried about them switching in Miraidon as Trick Room expires while Indeedee's on the field. So I'm trying to think about what should I do. Should I go for Follow Me and try to get some damage on both? But I really don't want to lose Indeedee with Miraidon still alive. Now, fortunately, we still have Urshifu to switch in if I need to. And I'm thinking, you know what? Let's just switch it in now and go for Protect. Because if they double up Calyrex, that'll put us in a really good position. That way I can close combat one slot and Glacial Lance or High Horsepower the other. So we Protect. And they just knock off Urshifu, which we survive. But they Hyper Voice, so double Protect there would have been a decent play. Definitely the better play than just sacking Urshifu for nothing. But I was really convinced that they had to go for the Blood Moon there. So that was one of the worst turns of the game. We just wasted Urshifu for nothing when we had free double Protect. But Trick Room is over. I do have Indeedee. And I got off a Swords Dance, so I'm +1. And at +1 with Helping Hand, I do know that I will KO this Ursaluna. But I'm worried that I won't KO the Incineroar, because usually it does about 20 to 25% to an Incineroar. So, you know, add another +1, you know, that's like 35%. And then Helping Hand, maybe we're getting close to 50, but they're over 50. So I'm like, all right, this is gonna, it's probably gonna leave it a little shy if I had to guess. But I am hopeful, and there's always the opportunity for a crit. So I go for the Helping Hand, and I go for that Glacial Lance. And I go Terra Normal because I don't want to die to knockoff. Or take a lot of damage from knockoff, rather, and put myself in range of Dazzling Gleam. That's exactly what it is. I didn't want to put myself in range of Dazzling Gleam. For the Helping Hand. KO the Ursaluna, but Incineroar just hangs on like I thought they would. And they actually knock off Indeedee, so I'm ecstatic about that because now I'm not in range of critical hit from the Miraidon if it decides to go for like a Dazzling Gleam or has like Discharge or something. So in comes Miraidon. I'm +2. They can't Terra, so Miraidon's definitely going down after this turn. It's just a matter of, do they have Discharge and do I get fully parried? So I go for the Follow Me and Glacial Lance. And they just go for Electro Drift. So that was a tricky game. We had to navigate the Trick Room, but some decent switching. We made it happen. The Swords Dance was very instrumental in getting us into position, and Helping Hand Indeedee helps Calyrex prevail once more. GG to my opponent. Jose put in major work. Really good job preserving the Miraidon and making the end game a little more interesting, and that mid-game Trick Room was definitely unexpected. So happy to get another win, and that starts us at 2-0 on day 2. So for whatever reason, the game did not show that I had played the last game. It still said I only had 11 games played, so I cut the screen out and went straight to team preview, and here we have a Calyrex Sunroom team. Very threatening. We see Oranguru Instruct, and so because they are threatening Instruct, I want to bring Indeedee for redirection. But I think that Urshifu could actually be really good in the lead just for U-turn and getting in Amoonguss, who is also really good against this team. And so right now I'm trying to debate between Amoonguss and Indeedee. And, I'm worried if they do have Instruct that Indeedee will be better because they could be safety goggles Instruct. But I decide, you know what, Terra Water Chamomile is amazing in this game. It also really helps out against the Iron Hands, and they may not even bring Oranguru. So if they don't bring Oranguru, Indeedee isn't really that helpful, whereas Amoonguss will always be beneficial in this matchup, especially if they don't bring the Torkoal and I don't have the Terra. So I do decide on Amoonguss. It also is a little more beneficial for Incineroar because if I can eliminate the Farigiraf, we have Fake Out at our disposal. So here we are facing down Farigiraf and Ursaluna Blood Moon. I'm sure they have Calyrex. I'm wondering what the last Pokemon is, and I'm hoping it's not Torkoal. Because Iron Hands would be a lot better to deal with, and I'm assuming they don't have Oranguru because they didn't lead with it. So I'm expecting either Torkoal or Iron Hands. I'm going to Parting Shot. And I'd also like to U-turn, but I want to check both my Pokemon first in the back and make sure I'm comfortable with them coming in on attacks here. And seeing which side I want to switch. And so I want to U-turn the Farigiraf. And my idea on bringing the Pokemon in is that if they're going to go for a attack with Farigiraf into the Urshifu slot, it's probably Psychic. And so I will switch Calyrex into the Urshifu slot. And we do see that the Farigiraf is not Rocky Helmet also, which is nice. So Calyrex will come into this one because we resist Psychic. And I'm assuming Blood Moon is wanting to attack into the Incineroar slot. And so getting a Parting Shot off, and then getting our Regenerator Pokemon who can soak up damage and get it back by switching out is the best way to go here. So we'll go directly into Amoonguss. That sets us up for if they set the Trick Room, and still puts us in good position if they don't. We just go for a Blood Moon into Calyrex, and we take less than half, and we'll get some back with leftovers, and Trick Room goes up. So now we look like we are very dominant because they don't know that my Ice Rider is not min speed. So I'd love to cover for the Torkoal coming in here. Trying to figure out how I don't want to spore the Farigiraf because they're usually safety goggles, and I think that the Blood Moon is more likely to switch out here anyways because they're weak to Glacial Lance and they've been parting shot. So, trying to see how much chance there is for me to win this game if I take a lot of damage like with a foul play, and I think it's worth it. So, unfortunately they switched the side I don't expect them to go. I expected them to just click foul play, but they switched Torkoal in. And they go for the protect. So that was a really good turn for them, because I waste my Spore. And I get a little chip with Glacial Lance into Torkoal. It's not going to do very much, but any chip against Torkoal is nice because their best move, Eruption, is based off how much HP they have. So any percentages that I take off here are percentages that I don't get inflicted on me. So want to call it a neutral turn, but I think it was a little bit in their favor because they're still threatening more damage than I am. So I need to use my Terra Water here and Spore the Torkoal because I cannot let Torkoal run rampant throughout Trick Room. And I'm just going to protect here and get a little bit of leftovers back, not take any damage from Torkoal. They do switch out the Blood Moon, so they'll reset their drops, but for now, I don't have to worry about damage coming from that slot. So we go for the Terra Water. They can't Terra Fire. And we protect our Cali Ice. And they do just bang the Eruption. But we take it really well. And Torkoal goes to sleep. So they're very likely to sleep through the last 2 turns of their Trick Room. They do have Iron Hands out, threatening the Fake Out, but they are unlikely to threaten Fake Out into Cali Ice because they will just go to sleep with Amoonguss. So I decided to switch in Incineroar just in case they go for the Fake Out. I can get my Regenerator back. And Swords Dance is appetizing here, but I also want to just go for the high horsepower onto Torkoal while they're guaranteed to sleep, so that if they do get the 1-turn wake up, Eruption won't be doing very much. Because honestly, I don't know if they're specs or what they are. I saw them click Eruption one time. I'm not really sure about Eruption damage in the sun on Amoonguss with Chip. It's very difficult to tell. So they do survive that, but now if they hit us with Eruption, even though it's super effective, Cali Ice will survive. And I've got an Intimidate on Iron Hands. So we got Parting Shot on Blood Moon as soon as it came in. We got Intimidate on Iron Hands as soon as it came in, and we put Torkoal to sleep after 1 small damage. So we've done really well getting around this team. And I'm just going to go for the Parting Shot on Glacial Lance. Okay, they just go for Heavy Slam. We get another Parting Shot. And then I'm going to bring in Urshifu because Trick Room is over and I want my 2 most threatening characters in at the same time. And Glacial Lance doesn't pick up Torkoal, which is actually great, because they could wake up next turn, but Trick Room is over, and they are in Glacial Lance range. So, trying to figure out what to do here. I don't think that we're going to do enough with Surging Strikes in the sun to put Iron Mike in Glacial Lance range, so I'm going to close combat it. And Glacial Lance. I'm not stoked about this because I know that they have Farigiraf in the back who doesn't mind taking close combat. But I just see this as the only way to get the damage boost on Ice Rider that I want to get for when Farigiraf comes back in. And we do pick up. Torkoal got the Protect, so it wasn't a double KO, unfortunately, but that's okay. Sun is gone. They're in a pretty weak position. They've used Terra, so Blood Moon is not going to help them. They basically need to hope that this Farigiraf can come out and survive the Glacial Lance close combat. Which, honestly, I'm not 100% sure that I will KO, but I do feel pretty confident knowing that I have Amoonguss and Incineroar to help out. And they're going to lose their Torkoal here because they can't risk switching in Ursaluna. So they don't go for the double protect. Close combat does a nice chunk. I'm starting to feel a little more confident. I've seen me KO from here. And boom, Farigiraf does go down. So we battle through Trick Room, we get them into an uncomfortable position, and we are able to ram Glacial Lances down their throat pretty freely for the win. Now we're at +3, and there is no Ursaluna Blood Moon in the world that is surviving this. Definitely not with close combat. So there's one, and there's two, and battle was canceled. So yeah, those were the first 3 games of day 2. I'll put out another video soon with the rest of the day 2 run. But in the meantime, I appreciate you guys for watching. We will catch you on the next one. Hope you enjoyed the show. Stay positive. Be an inspiration to everybody around you. Peace.